takes a minute for it to set up and say, hey, okay, you're actually live, because my phone is how I keep track of chat. Although chat does appear, at least on my end, in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, so I will be able to keep an eye on chat in two separate ways.
Great.
And eye on cat, I see three of them.
Great. I will try to help too, so I can help with questions.
Of course, and we will end up getting to the chat Q&A section. I think that's after question 4, so we've got good time. We can make this happen in 2 hours.
Great.
Shall I start us off with the intro?
Yes, please do. Take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next Enkindled podcast. I, this time, am not your host. I'm pulling the rug out from underneath you. I am the one in the hot seat. I am normally your host with 0 amount of most. I am Erik, as you all know me. Joining me is the one asking me the questions, our host, and the leader to the Enkindled, Primrose.
Thank you for having me as your temporary host. Happy to be here.
And I'm glad we got you. And I'm waiting for Thunder and Yaren to start saying things. I'm waiting. It's gonna be there. Because it's them. They're there. I know they're lurking.
We love their commentary.
Their commentary during Rays was hilarious. Their commentary during Ray's podcast was hysterical. All right.
Well, if they're in the chat, hopefully they'll make themselves known.
I'm sure they will.
Then, yeah, be sure to bug them.
Oh yeah. And I believe everybody has. The announcement went off in the FC Discord, right?
It did. Yes.
Awesome.
I saw it.
Perfect. Excellent. So, normally I am the one that is asking the questions. This time Prim is going to be the one asking me the questions that as you've come to know, that I've asked the 4 prior guests that we have had on here, being that of Ray, being that of Thunder Eater, Sen, and Sakura. And now I have to answer my own questions. Now, to also note before we get started is that I've rearranged the questions, and before the next podcast happens, these questions will be a little bit more in-depth and also rearranged. That way we can add a little bit more time to these. Another thing I want to preface as well is that this podcast is going to touch on some heavier subjects. So I will preface, when we get to them, a trigger warning for things, so that way if you do not wish to hear them and you wish to step away, by all means do so.
I may also chime in and say, if you need some support, perhaps after, I am available to you. So please reach out by DM, message, and we can process some stuff if you need it.
Oh, yes. Do you have the resources that we discussed for when we get to that point? We could absolutely link those resources in the Twitch chat.
Yes.
And then I'll have you send me those privately over Discord as well, so that way when this gets uploaded to YouTube tomorrow, that way I can put those links in the description, so that way people know.
Yes.
So, I will relinquish my control of this over to you.
To the temporary host. And I will start us off by, if you don't mind, Sovereign, introducing yourself and telling us your character's name, well, I guess your full name if you want to share, and what jobs you play in 14.
Of course. So, my character name in 14 is Sovereign Erik. It takes a play on a character that I have out of my own creation and universe who once had a real name but no longer goes by it, and instead actually just goes by his title, which is Sovereign. And it also kind of throws my name in there because I'm zero creativity when it comes to, you know, wanting to name MCs and everything, so I just threw my name in there. The main jobs that I play is kind of a mix between two. You'll mostly see me lurking about as either Gunbreaker, which is my absolute main job, and also doubling as Samurai.
Did you start with Gunbreaker, or is that something that changed over time?
I started as Paladin, actually. I was Paladin up until level 70, which Sen can confirm that Sen and I went through the game together. For the most part. He ended up actually taking off ahead of me about post Stormblood is where I had to step away. I started off as Paladin, and then once Gunbreaker came around, I was like, I'll give it a shot, and I fell in love with the class. It's of the 4 tank classes, I feel like it's the one that's just like, I'm going to be able to actually do damage and tank at the same time? Blasphemy.
And are you sure it's not because of Super Bolide and scaring your healers? You sure it's not related to that?
Yes, because I never used the skill. I never used the skill, so I don't.
Okay.
It's also
Most
because
of the
the
time
fashion
people like
is
that.
incredible.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, aside from your jobs in 14, if you're comfortable sharing, what do you do in real life?
Well, I am currently. I'm a mix between 3 things. My main job that I actually do, that I make the most money out of, is that I am a chef in a hospital. The
Nice.
other 2 I have is, as most people know now with all this, I do stream on Twitch quite frequently. Myself, Drew, who he's not on the podcast, he'll be on there. I'll drag him on. And my lovely wife. All 3 of us stream together. And I also own and run a card shop online where I sell trading cards.
Excellent. So you're very busy from the sound of it.
I don't know how to ever take a break.
Okay. Which of the 3 are like the newest of your endeavors, or which did you recently start?
Streaming was... So it's kind of an interesting one. Is that I've been a cook for about 5 to 7 years. It's one of the only things I really know how to do. I started doing the... Breaks are for the week. Thanks, Sakura. Breaks are for the week. It's not that breaks are for the week, it's that I can never catch a break. Because I never allow myself to take a break. I actually started doing the TCG stuff in 2017 because my brother and I went to sell some cards that we just wanted to make a quick buck, went to sell some cards to a local hobby store, and they offered us a specific amount of money for an entire folder full of really good cards that we had collected, that I had collected over the years, that my brother had kind of collected. They offered us $2 for the whole folder.
$2?
The folder was worth well over 100.
Wow. And what'd you do? I have to know the reaction.
So also Dread in chat says, I want you to know I'm putting up with ads for you 5 in a row. I can't control that, sorry. We actually decided that we weren't going to do that, and we decided to, I looked into it, and we started selling online through TCG Player. And I was putting more into it than he was. We started off, it wasn't actually named what it is now, which is Starfall Cards. We were running it together. We ran it 50-50, but I was putting more time into it than he was because he was dealing with his own stuff. So about 6 months into our first year, I asked him if he wanted to keep going or if he just wanted me to pay him out what I owed him, and then I would take his half, which he agreed to. And I took his half and renamed it Starfall Cards, and I've run it. I don't want to say it's by myself. I've had a lot of help with it over the years. My wife helps me with shipping and everything. And we actually even sometimes will stream live on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. We'll stream opening packs when we just decide to get them.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the genuine reaction is just fun. And we've actually pulled some really good stuff in the past. Streaming itself, I had streamed for a while, like on and off. Never really hit until I decided to kind of start doing it a little bit more starting this year, actually. Or was it this year or was it last year that we started streaming more? It was last year.
It was last year.
We started streaming more about September, I want to say. September, October, somewhere around there was when we started making it more of a deal because we wanted to start doing more Stardew Valley streams. My wife and I did. And
Oh, how fun.
oh yeah. And we decided that we're going to just kind of I made a whole schedule and we just kind of started making a bigger deal, and I dragged Drew into it. And yeah, Sakura says last year was you send every Friday for Final Fantasy and adding me in on Fridays. Yeah, so we did add Sen and I did Final Fantasy Fridays, which was us just playing 14 or playing a Final Fantasy game or doing our Let's Talk series, which is we've had a hard time trying to get the next episode of that to go because of scheduling. But the Let's Talk series, to touch on that real quick, is where we discuss a game series for most of its installments, or at least main installments. Right now, we're doing the Final Fantasy series, funny enough, and we have yet to do our episode on Final Fantasy IV.
Which is a great one.
It
by
is.
the
It's
way.
my favorite.
I still want that cane pose. I get very jealous when I see male dragoons because I want it.
I might have to start taking up Dragoon now and just to stand in the background of places wherever you're at and just start doing the cane pose. Just to mess with you. I'm kidding.
Great.
So, but and again, I had mentioned it with Thunder's podcast, that I'm very grateful for everyone in the FC and everything showing up for Ray's podcast, because everyone showing up and interacting with each other and everything pushed me from being just a single Twitch streamer to being a Twitch affiliate, in which I'm hoping that with...
Congratulations, by the
Thank
way.
you. With all these podcasts and with everything that we're trying to do, yeah, Thunder's represent. Thank you, Thunder. Got to get Yarn in here so you two can start talking in the chat. I'm hoping that with the support of the FC and the support of not only my wife and Drew, Sen, and Sakura, and everybody that happens to show up for any of the streams, that it will end up pushing me into partnership. That is kind of my goal, is to reach partner by hopefully the end of this year. It's a pipe dream and a half because not everybody makes it, but I'm trying.
Hey, more power to you. And consistency is the key, right? So
Oh, yeah.
we're rooting for you.
I have to remind myself to mention in the FC chat, just putting the link going. Yep, streaming. Okay. The only day that we don't normally stream is Mondays, because Mondays is normally when we have our D&D sessions.
Well, speaking of the FC, I feel like that's a great segue to
Good
ask
segue.
you,
Good segue.
how did you join Kind?
So you know him. We both know him. Drew or
Yes.
Hudon, sorry, Hudon Drew. It's same guy. Knows him as well because he was. So I've talked about Zebo, and Zebo is the binding factor of how I got into the FC because he actually introduced me. He got me into playing a little bit of 11, which I couldn't. 11 and I were kind of had that weird instance, and then he had told me so much about 14, so I started playing 14, and probably within my first week of playing 14 and kind of getting the ropes, that's when he said, "All right, come on, I want to introduce you to somebody," and that's when he brought me here. And
How
he
long
said,
ago was that? Do you remember?
"Oh, I've
It's
been
been a
some.
minute.
It has. I came in to play. What was it? I started playing 14 around the middle, if not tail end of Stormblood.
Okay.
I remember this. This puts a date on like some people playing. Is I remember when the Praetorium was a lot longer than it is now.
It
It
was like
being
an hour.
an hour long, but once Gaius started going on his spiel, all right, I'm gonna go make food real quick. I'll be right back. And then La Habrea would go on his spiel, and it's like, I'm gonna go make more food. And you'd come back, and it'd still be going.
Right. Right. 20 minutes at
20-minute
least.
monologue, Gaius. But Zebo is how we got into it, or how I ended up getting into it, and I've brought in now 3 people. Technically 4, if we want to get really specific. I've brought 4 people into the FC. Sen
Wow.
was the first.
Hmm.
Sen, well, by proxy, I guess I've brought in 3, but by proxy, I brought in a 4th. Sen brought in Sakura.
Hmm.
I brought in Hudon, and though she doesn't play because we only have the one PS5, we don't actually have another system for her to play on. I technically brought my wife in. She is a member of the FC, but she hasn't been on since for quite some time because my PC is
2021?
oh yeah about 2021 or so a few years.
Hmm.
Because normally how I used to play 14 was I'd play it on my desktop, but since my desktop is a potato, I started playing it on PlayStation, and it just runs so much better on PlayStation than it ever did on my PC. But my PC was also a few years old, and I'm looking at it right now, sitting next to this vanity that we have our TV on and the PlayStation on, and it's just it collects. It's a paperweight at this point. The cats like to use it as a stepping stone to get onto the vanity sometimes.
It's a cat step.
It's a cat step, is what my wife said. But yeah, Zebo is how I got. Zeboda is how I got into the FC. He's the one that introduced me to you. I'm pretty sure he introduced me to you and more.
Hmm.
And you guys were very welcoming to be like, "Oh yeah, come on in. We'll show you around. We'll show you the ropes." And I'm like, okay." I was not a very sociable person,
You
and
weren't?
no, I'll explain that a little bit
No
later as to
way.
when we get to the question about why I play 14. I'll actually explain why about that, but
Okay.
uh, but yeah, the lies, Sakura. No, stop that.
Thank you, Sakura, because when I met you, and as far as I've known you, that has not been the case from my point of view. But of course, we'll wait till we get to that question.
Oh yeah, Shred, agree. I'm about to break hearts in this episode. I swear.
So you've been in Enkindled for many years. We're happy to have you. And I know, like, you and I have gotten to know each other a good amount of time, which I appreciate. And then because of that, I've gotten to know Sen and now Sakura, um, and now Hudon as well. So, what does Enkindled mean to you, right? Because it means something enough where you bring people you care about to it. So, what does this FC mean to you?
The Enkindled, personally, to me, is, and it's gonna sound cliche when I say it, but I mean it with every ounce of my being.
Oh,
Being
do
a
I need
member,
tissues?
so you might,
I might.
you might, I don't know. At the end of this, you might need them. Um, the Enkindled to me personally is family. It's a second family that I know that I can come to you guys if I'm ever in a spot where I don't have anywhere to go.
Hmm.
And that I don't have to worry about, I can reach out to someone and not feel like I'm being judged for it. Aside from Sen and Sakura and Hudan, I get judged from them constantly. It's a thing. It happens. I gotta give them a hard time because I've known all three of them for years. I've known Sen the longest out of all three of them. But yeah, it means family to me is what being a member of the Enkindled is, and I believe I've put that in our message book upstairs a few times of like how much I love
Yes.
being a member of the FC and how much like our close knit little family is it it brings me joy.
And that's a really, really awesome compliment, which I appreciate. Because, you know, not everyone looks at guilds or free companies that way. And it's not something that, like, we try to make our FC look like, but we all just kind of bond that way. And some relationships, friendships get closer than others, but we all treat each other, I think, pretty well. So I'm very glad to hear that. Makes me happy.
Oh yeah, and I'm I gotta say it now. If it wasn't like I gotta give Zebo a lot of credit because he's the one that brought me into all this, but
For
if it
sure.
wasn't for you, I don't think a lot of this would have happened.
Oh, right to the heart. You got me. Well, I
my,
appreciate that.
my wife's right next to me. She just kiss ass.
It worked. No, I'm just kidding.
It worked. Prim said it worked.
I know, it always does.
But I think that's why it's nice for, in particular, our FC to have me and more. So you get the benefit of having like two leaders, right? Because um, sometimes, like maybe you and I mesh better, or maybe our time zones align better, or vice versa, but with more, right? But
Right.
like you have your own relationship with more, or you might feel more comfortable going to more about certain things. And that's why I think it's been really helpful. And I'm sure, if ever, when it's time for me to talk about like the FC, I'll share about why we made that decision. But it's been really helpful for us to withstand, for the FC to, gosh, make it through every single expansion since the Realm Reborn.
And we've got one more coming up in less than a week.
So exciting.
I'm probably going to step away from 14 for about maybe a month to let the initial like burst of people that go in that are going to go
The
into it like get
craziness.
them through. Let it calm down after about a
Understandable.
month.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure to mute all the Discord channels that you don't want to get spammed with. Yeah, it gets pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's talk about your favorites, right?
Oh boy.
Um, let's get right into it. Favorite dungeon.
Favorite dungeon. Uh, and when I was answering my own questions at work, I kind of sat there. I was like, "Wow, when you really get put on the spot." And now I know how everybody else has felt. When you really get put on the spot, you have like every dungeon that's in your head that you've been through disappears.
Yeah,
And
then you can't think, right? It's
right,
different
and
when
the
you're in the
only
hot
one
seat.
I could really remember like, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love a lot of dungeons. So a lot of my answers are going to be multiple, but they're all at the same level.
Okay,
The two
fair.
I could absolutely say that I love. is Hawk Manor, because it's just one of the... It's easy, it's simple, I love the gothic horror vibe to it, it's great. And the other one is, and I know that Sen said this for theirs, is the Twinning.
Oh, okay.
Because
Nice.
the Twinning was just such a great, fun dungeon.
So question, Hawk Manor, before they updated it, because now it's just a tad different with like a few of like the boss updates from what I remember, or do you like the OG way you used to have it?
I don't remember it. I guess I've been in there a couple times, but I never realized it actually changed.
Yeah, so the last boss now, you don't have to touch the lanterns anymore. It's I don't think there's even ads now, maybe one ad, but they kind of simplified all that.
Huh. I guess I never paid attention to that. I just kind of went in and said, all right, bring me the boss. I want its head.
Let me add him. Okay. Okay. Okay, so those are your favorite dungeons. Do you want to do all favorites and then go back and do least favorite, or go like dungeons and then move on?
We'll go dungeon. We'll kind of go down the list. We'll go favorite, least favorite for each kind of one.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. So least favorite dungeon.
I had 3 that immediately came to mind.
Okay.
One of them is, and I've mentioned it every time, is Orem Vale.
It's always on everyone's list.
It's terrible!
First room?
Just in general. It's like, it's a white mage hell. Or it's healer hell, actually. Sometimes people, I'm not trying to like trash on anybody else, but sometimes people don't know what they're doing. And it's like, this is just gonna be great. And it's, once you hit, I think it's white, it becomes available, I think, at level 44? Once you get that and it unlocks, that's essentially the only dungeon you go into for your roulettes.
Can I just pause here for a
47.
moment, Sav? Because, of course, Thunder says he actually liked
Of course,
Orem
Thunder did.
Vale back in the day. Of course he does, right?
really
Out
hard
of
for
the
peanut
entire
gallery,
population of 14, he's like the only one.
It's really hard for the peanut gallery. Me? Please stay quiet.
It's okay.
Thank you, Thunder.
Same people can't lose about the coin collector was the favorite. Yeah, that's fair. Another one of my least favorites is, I don't know what it is about it. I think it was just because I had the hardest time trying to get into the dungeon for like a month straight, was the Anti-Tower.
Anti-Tower. Which one is that again?
The last boss is Calcabrina, the dolls.
Oh my gosh, Thunder's favorite. How could I forget that? Okay, got it.
Thunder? No.
Okay.
The last one, this is just personal preference, honestly, because while I understand it for the terms of the story, I just wasn't a big fan of it. And that being Matoya's Relict, where you have to make the Mother Porksy.
Yeah.
Wasn't a huge fan of that one.
Yeah, I can see that. It also takes quite a bit time-wise to get through it.
Oh, yeah. I also have to preface this as well. I will probably be mentioning dungeons and stuff that might be spoilers to some. So, be advised that there are spoilers, but some people might not understand what exactly it is. So, we'll be fine.
Okay. Whoops.
That's okay. Spoiler warning.
Okay, so we talked about dungeons. How about favorite trial?
Ooh. I've got a hybrid. I've got 3, but 2 of them could technically be considered under the same one because it's the same boss, essentially. Actually, technically 4, but 3 of them. I know it's extreme lack of
The list is
mental
growing.
hard. Thank you, Sen. Any of the ones with Gilgamesh have to be my absolute favorite. So Battle at the Big Keep, Battle at Big Bridge, and then him being Yojimbo
Oh yeah.
have to be my favorites because Gilgamesh is just such a lovable idiot. That and another one of my favorite trials is absolutely. Oh yes, his name is Greg. I'm sorry.
Yes, please use.
Yes, I apologize.
Thank you.
His name is Greg. That and Susano.
Oh yeah, that's.
I love that man. The Lord of Revels is one of my favorites because you also get to have that anime moment of I'm going to block this giant sword.
And the music, his voice, just yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everything about it's great.
Now, least favorite trials, I had two.
Mm-hmm.
One of them has been easier over the time. He has told you his preferred name, so please identify him, Greg, by calling him his true name, unless there be a Gilgameshing time. This is true. This is true, Sen. This is true. Susano is a mood, and I adore his joy. Absolutely, Sen. Early on, I would say Ravana was one I didn't have a lot of fun with because it was just chaos.
Really?
I think Sen can agree, or at least can back me up a little bit on that, is that Ravana and I just had a hard time with him. Another one that I know a few people might agree with me on, just because it's such an HP, it's just such a damage sponge, is Lakshmi.
Really?
There's something about the Lakshmi Smite, the Lakshmi Schmite, the Lakshmi fight. I know how to talk. I'm very good at it. I've been doing this for years. I know.
No, you're not.
I know. Weirdly struggles against Ravana every time. It's true. I don't know what it is. I mean, I've since gotten better, but early on I was struggling with Ravana. Yeah, I don't know what it is just about the Lakshmi fight. I was just not a huge fan of it.
Bosom and all, huh? Because that's usually a fan favorite.
I mean, I won't deny that part, but...
Okay.
Okay, I kid. I agree with Sakura. It's just a DPS sponge, which is really hilarious, especially since I'm the tank. Snack sponge. I don't like that. Sen.
Okay, what about alliance raids? I'm curious about this. Do you have multiple, or
Honestly,
how are you feeling about alliance raids?
The alliance raids, I have a few favorites.
Okay.
Personally, it's just because I understand completely why they made it part of the main story now, because obviously it does play in later, which we're not going to say reasons why. There's somebody in the chat that doesn't know why yet. The Crystal Tower is still one of my favorites. Not so much the World of Darkness, but it's part of it, so I'll let it slide. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Artie Party, for the glowing frog head. There's that demon frog. I can't really tell. I think it's just a frog head. But thank you. Another one I'd have to say would be one of my favorites, alliance-wise. Honestly, I don't know what it's actually called. I can never remember what its actual name is. It's the Endwalker Alliance raid. I just can't remember.
The one with all the Eorzea gods?
Yeah.
That one? The most recent ones?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but while they are challenging, they're just the areas and everything you go to, each different one of the gods, it's just so pleasing. It's like, I enjoy this, except for when I get punched off a frickin' stone hand.
Sounds like a you problem.
It is a me problem.
I love the commentary
Oh yeah.
from the misses, by the way. It's fantastic.
Prim says she absolutely loves your commentary, your added commentary.
I'm glad because Peanut Gallery doesn't know how to keep quiet.
Oh, now we got to go to my least favorite, and I have an. Oh, I have two.
Okay. Please don't say Coffee Factory.
Which one was Copied Factory? Was that the first one of the near raid, or was that the second one?
It's the first one.
It's not Copied Factory, but the second one of the near raid is one of my least favorites.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Because that one just takes forever. I can't remember what it's actually. Puppet's Bunker. That's what its name is.
Oh, yeah.
I've mentioned it before on, I think, a few of the other podcasts. I absolutely... While my opinion is different than everyone else's when it comes to these particular three, and while I do not despise them all as a whole, I agree with a few of the people that don't like the second part of it, but I absolutely cannot and absolutely despise going into the Orborn Monastery.
Where's Thunder? Is he triggered right now? Thunder, are you triggered?
He better
Put it
be.
in the chat how triggered you are. We would love to hear.
I think I mentioned that during his podcast. Was like
You're right.
that. I think so. It's because I believe I think we had a whole discussion about that. Was that I wasn't. We are entitled to wrong opinions. That's okay. I'm wrong all the time. It's all right.
And that one's not the math one, is it?
No,
I
that's
feel like I ask that all
that's the
time.
Ritter on the Lighthouse, which is what everyone else that I have interviewed has said is just like do not like Math Boss. I don't blame you. And that's up there too. Like the Evil East raids are up there on my least favorites, but the Monastery I just don't like the most out of all of them.
Okay. Monastery is the first one.
The third one. It's the last one. Where you have to face off against Thunder God Sid and lastly Ultima at the very end.
And Thunder God?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That one is a pretty good one, though.
Now, if we're gonna talk about normal raids, oh, do I have
Please
a couple
do.
that I absolutely... Sen can attest to this. There's just something so enjoyable about the Alexander raids.
All of them?
Maybe not all of them, but there's a few in there that's just like, this is just great. Brute Justice is absolutely one of them. Because his theme is, as Sakura said, it's the music. The music is incredible. Yeah. And also, I will openly admit that I will go into, I'll go into the in-room at probably Old Daw somewhere. I'll always go into the in-room at Old Daw. Hit the orchestrion and just start playing Brute Justices, because it's like, all right, this is it. And as like Sakura said, it gets me hyped at work. It's great. The Omega raids are also one of my favorites, barring one part of it.
Which part?
That's part of my least favorites. Which is actually the first thing on my least favorites when it comes to the normal raids. Which that is kind of all my favorites for the normal raids. While I do enjoy a lot of them, Pandemonium was amazing too. I loved the soundtrack and everything to Pandemonium. A few of them gave me a hard time. Sen can attest to the tree.
Oh, the good old tree. Yes. Uh-huh.
I'm not a fan of the tree. The tree hurts me. Tree is friend. No. Well, it could be not that tree. That tree tries to give you the hug, and that is not tree is life. No, it wants to be alive. Tree has a rated E for everyone. Yeah, that part's accurate. I'll agree with you on that. Least favorite for my normal raids. Honestly, the last Omega raid.
against Omega? Those are twins?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Excellent fight.
Because, like, while it is a great fight, man, if you are not prepared going into that, you are in trouble.
Great.
A couple parts of the Eden raid as well gave me a run for my money. I don't. What was? There was one part of the Eden raid that I absolutely was. Sen can confirm that I was mortified during the whole time because I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't like this. Please get me out of here. I don't remember which one it was.
The one with the birds?
I think so. Now, it wasn't landslides, but spam the arrows. It's fine. I don't have arrows. I just have my Hattori Hanzo steel. But yeah, no, it's just a couple parts of the Eden raid. From what I can remember of them anyway. I haven't really done any of the Eden stuff since... I never really get it whenever I go into trials. If I do, the only one I ever generally get is the Titan fight with the Eden raids. It's the only one I ever get. Ikaruga birds make sense. No. If I wanted to play Ikaruga, I'd go actually play Ikaruga, or I'd go into the last part of... Or I'd go to the Tower at Paradigm's Breach to really play Ikaruga. But, you know.
So we talked about your favorites and also your not so much favorites. But now I have been wondering this since you brought it up about why you play 14 and earlier when you mentioned that there was a time where you were not so talkative or you could be introverted, as we can all be. So I figure that's a nice segue for us to pivot to, if you don't mind sharing. Why do you play 14?
So
And what it means to you.
I play 14 as, I believe Sen said the same thing along the same lines of that it's an escape. It's an escape to kind of just step away from everything else and just kind of lose yourself in the world that 14 has created and is still creating. And just exploring the story, the world, the characters, and everything in it as... And I've played this game for years. I've just started working on my Disciple of Hand and Land stuff. Like, never did anything with it. And then I was like, I should probably start doing something, because I don't really know what class I want to level up next. And I started working on that because Hudan actually told me that I should, because it's a good way to just kill time, and it really is. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you, Hudan. But it's a means of escape and a way to kind of hang out with the FC and with the friends I've made on here, with that being, Sen and Sakura and Hudan when all of us stream on Friday. To go back to the whole introverted thing, and what 14 means to me personally as the whole thing with the escape, and as I mentioned prior, there was a time, as Sen, Sakura, and Hudan can attest, I'm a very talkative person now. Once you really get to know me, I essentially don't shut up.
Yeah, not wrong.
No, even my wife's like, yeah, no, not wrong. There was a time where I wasn't so much, because I struggled very heavily to socialize and make friends. I've had, and I have a small group of friends myself that some of them have drifted away over the years. But I struggled a lot during younger years to make friends because I couldn't connect with people. And being the subject of a lot of torment didn't really help that case, along with other things that I'll mention later that really didn't help with that. I struggled a lot to connect with people, to socialize. The there were my parents love them to death. My parents partially didn't help with that, and not because they didn't do anything about it, but they made a joke, and that joke stuck for years. Because the most anybody would see me is if I was out, getting food, or if I was out doing this, that, or the other. Because I would always hold myself up in my room, and I would never come out. Because I had my own place to, why would I want to leave? Right?
Yeah, fair.
So my parents made a joke that to their friends, and living in a small town like I used to, of about 300 people, everyone in town, like, if they saw me, they're like, "Oh wow, you're still alive?" Like,
Oh
that,
gosh.
like, yeah, I didn't go anywhere. I'm still here. I just don't come out, and that didn't help.
Right.
Like, it didn't help at all, because being, like I said, a subject of a lot of torment and everything, it kind of puts a damper on one's mental psyche and everything, about wanting to try to connect with people, try to socialize, and wanting to make friends. And I'll touch on that a little bit later, but that's personally what, like, it's the reason why I, like, yeah, like, me as a very, like, talkative person and everything, but I was not like that at one point. Hudon and I actually, fun little side story, is that Hudon and I worked at the same job for years. When I first started that job, I was stand in a corner, head down, kind of just keep to myself. Oh, hey, do you need? Oh, you need me to go do that? Okay, I go do that, take care of it, and then just go right back to standing there and not do anything. And because that social anxiety was just gripping, it wasn't letting go. And then a couple of the people that I worked with at the time were like, "Hey, we're gonna go into the lounge after shift. You want to come join us and just kind of hang out?" Yeah, and that too. And they stuck me out in front to interact with, like, all the people that came in, because we used to work in a hotel. That didn't help either,
Oh
because a lot
gosh.
of the people, we were food side of the hotel. I was bussing tables. That was my first ever job, as I was a busser. And yeah, just trying to, like, "Oh, hey, are you done with that?" And then people just be rude to you, just at the drop of a hat, just immediately snap at you, this, that, and the other. It takes a lot out of you. But yeah, there was. And then Hudon and I actually met, like, a few years into my tenure at the hotel, where I was given an offer to. Well, actually, after a year, I was given an offer to kind of change positions to something experimental they wanted to try, so I took it. And that's when Hudon and I actually met. And he and I just kind of hit it off, because we're both nerds.
Uh-huh.
And by that point, I was kind of coming out of that shell, being more talkative, interacting with more of the coworkers and everything. Yeah, in the nerd corner, as we called it, in the mornings. It By that time, when I got that position, I was a little bit more open and willing to talk to people. But I mean, even still now, sometimes, like, I struggle to talk to people, because it's like, I don't know this person, like, and again, with being the subject of torment for so many years, like, am I afraid to connect with this person because they'll turn that stuff against me, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
So that's that got a little darker. That's not the darkest part where this is gonna go, but
No, not dark at all.
Wow.
And thank you for
Can I
sharing
have a
too,
spoon?
because it's
Am I
tough,
making
right?
fun?
It really is hard to interact with people. So when you say coming to 14 was like an escape for you, I think, there's a lot of people who can relate to that, because life is very difficult. So I appreciate that.
I'm just waiting for... I know it's coming up soon, but I know that it's gonna hit a lot of places. And I have to be careful with how I explain it because Twitch is very touchy on that. But
Yeah, and that's
understandably
okay.
so.
Yeah.
So,
Do we want to do Q&A time, or do you feel like anything else you want to share about like your reasons for playing 14?
let's go ahead and go into the Q&A time. Let's give the chat a little bit of
Okay.
time to ask any questions that they want to ask.
Okay.
We'll do it for 10 minutes. Then continue on with more of the questions. Well, with the next segment, you know what I mean.
Sounds like a plan to me.
So the floor is now to the chat. Ask the questions. I already know two people that are going to give me a hard time for something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know Sen and Soccer are going to be there asking me the hard questions.
They're probably typing. As we
They
speak.
probably are.
That's what friends are for.
It's true. Sen is down. Oh yeah, he does have D&D, doesn't he? Forgot about that. Ah. So, while chat is deciding what class do I? Oh, what class do I play? Ooh. That's the funny thing is that.
Forever DM. I'm kidding.
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, no, DM. Hudon is Dread Hudon. Absolutely right. I am the DM. I've been DM for. Oh, what's it been now? 6 years. And it's not that I don't love being DM, because I do. It's fun, and the campaign that we currently have going is going places. But it's I know things that are going to happen, and I can't wait to see how they get there. Or rather, I can't wait to see them happen. Trying to think of you calling Sen and fanboying over it. What a because Sen has basically been a pseudo co-DM. Like, he helped me create things. He helped me create a character that essentially became Vecna in a prior campaign. Which was really funny to watch one of my players realize what was happening and then get terrified. Because the moment I started describing what this character was doing, he looked at me and said, No, I've never had to face this before. No, why would you do this? Well, what were you going to ask there, Hudon? If he was responsible. Yes. We both kind of came up with the idea for what led to Vecna. I think he came up with the idea for, like, the relics to the different tribes, and then I came up with, obviously, the character and everything that led to that moment. He actually, I was fully responsible for Vecna. He actually helped me create, this is the name of a Warforged character that happened in that campaign. Its name was Solomon Hex. And Sen is actually the one that helped me make him. Because we went for like a Frankenstein's monster kind of approach to it.
Ooh.
Where it had the ability to blend in to whatever tribe area it went into, because the cloak it had, and as this might sound a little graphic for Twitch, it had aspects of other tribes, of all 5 of the tribes. So it could literally step past its border and immediately blend in to whatever tribe land it was. Which is how it got past the party so much and just kind of was lurking about without them knowing. It was so much fun. That was
rude.
It was rude.
Yes.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
You got to play a big kitty.
I still am a big kitty.
This is true. You don't think you ever mentioned that? I did not. I feel like I might have at one point, but I don't think it ever got brought up again. Do you have any questions for me, Prim?
Ooh, questions
I mean, it is,
for you.
while it is chat Q&A, I mean, you're very viable to ask me any questions.
Oh gosh.
On the spot. Bam.
I have so many. But I figured I was going to save my questions for when you shared your story later.
Oh,
But
well. I mean,
yeah.
if you want to share, if you want to save some of those for that, then by all means.
Okay, I have a question. Favorite food
Ooh.
and least favorite food.
Oh, wow, that's... Okay. Honestly, favorite food? Pasta. Love pasta.
Mm-hmm.
I will never get enough of pasta. Look, if I'm ever going to try to get into shape, round is that shape, and I will go for pasta every time. I don't care.
Nice.
Least favorite? We all know his favorite drink. Oh, yeah. You devoured... I did. Sen made pasta when I was down there a few years ago, and I absolutely just devoured every bit of it. And it was hilarious. Favorite drink? Wait, yeah, you... Silence, Sakura.
Yeah, he popped a can
drink.
before he
What?
went live.
No one knows that.
I heard it.
You'll probably hear another one here soon enough. Not surprised to you. We all know Sarah, Dr. Thunder. Thank you, Hudon. That's great. Least favorite food? Oh man, there's not a lot of stuff that I don't dislike, like in terms of like dishes or anything. If I were to say a few things I don't really like, asparagus is one of them. Not a huge fan. Broccoli. It's texture. That's the main. Well, never really liked asparagus, but broccoli is just texture wise.
Okay.
That's the most I can
fair.
really explain of it.
I still try and make him eat broccoli.
No, you don't.
Sometimes.
That's good.
When?
You have
I
to
want
hide it.
That's also fair.
If
You
I
like
want
broccoli.
something,
You can have veggie pasta. Then you won't even know you're having your broccoli.
Veggie pasta is what Prim says. Broccoli rice casserole. So actually, that's really funny because they had it was one of these like box meals for like they have like a whole bunch of different ones. Pureed broccoli. No.
but then it's not the texture.
It's still gonna be the texture. There was this one that was a beef and broccoli dish that I made it, and I was just gonna pick, just eat the beef out of it and everything. And I don't remember what I was watching. I think I was sitting there watching like something, and I looked down at the bowl that I had put this entire dish into, and the bowl was clean. I mean, it was spotless. Sat there for a moment and went, "What? I hate broccoli. What did I just do?" Ate the whole thing, didn't even realize it.
Nice.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't dislike a lot of foods. But there's not a lot of things that we've ever really had that I haven't really been a huge fan of.
No.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
I mean, my wife can attest that she doesn't like mushrooms. She's not a huge fan of mushrooms. I don't mind them if I don't taste it.
Fried. Fried mushrooms are amazing.
She will die on that hill.
I will.
Something I made you I wasn't a fan. I don't remember what it was. Oh, I guess I could think of another thing I'm not a huge fan of. Sauerkraut, cabbage, corned beef. Not a really huge corned beef fan.
Okay.
Which is really funny during St. Patrick's Day. Well, shall we continue with the questions, Prim? It has been about 10 minutes.
Yeah, but now I'm on a roll. I have one more question.
Oh, go on, please.
Okay. What is one thing that annoys you so much that people do? Like, I asked a nice question, but now I really want to know, like, the thing that maybe you probably will, like, probably Sen and Sakura and Hudan know,
That reaction, I
but
have to know what the question was.
Prim wants to know what things people do that annoy me. And I can't just say exist. Dread in the chat, exist. I can't say that. I do like some people.
Sometimes.
Nah, it depends the day, really.
yeah, like, what do they do that just annoy you to no end? Well, maybe just a few things, right? Because I'm sure that you could talk about it for a long time if you wanted to, but just a few things.
Playing off of work history, and I don't do it myself, but for some reason it bothers me when others don't. Not looking at you when I say this. My wife that is sitting next to me holding a tablet and just blinking at me slowly. Hudan can actually attest to this because I was not a fan of it when people did it at a job that he and I worked at together, where we worked in a barbecue restaurant, and people could get rid of their own trays and everything, and put all their stuff in essentially a bus tub that was above our trash cans. That they just leave it on the table.
Oh, I never do that.
No, I'm not. No, I wasn't directing that at you.
The way you said that, you made it sound like I do it.
It's the overall gist of it was going to be like picking up trash and everything that they decide to leave on tables. And I'm just like, well, we don't really do that ourselves.
As if you're much better.
That's why I said I'm not the best person about it. Another thing that people do that I'm not it just bothers me. Oh man. Now, see, now you put me on the spot, and I gotta actually think. I can't just say. I can't.
This is the stuff people want to know.
I can't say exist because like it's just a thing. Honestly, it's. Oh no! I need to make that a sound alert. Whenever I finally go to PC again. God, I really can't, like... It depends the day kind of thing. It's just a matter of, like, what... I guess it depends on what my state is, like, mentally before anything happens. Because, like, that... Your state of mind when you go into something is one thing. Mm-hmm. And Hudan and I can attest that we could go into our job perfectly fine. But then it's... no, I've got one that actually is perfect because depending, like, obviously different jobs that people have, some people will understand this, some others won't. So Hudan and I work at the same place. And we both work in the hospital kitchen. When we get phone calls from our nursing staff over the dumbest things that we've already told them 4 times. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Don't worry about it. We've actually had there's a few. Oh, yeah, our BFFs. Yeah. Yes, it's high on my list of yes. Sakura can confirm. Like just the stupid phone calls. Just it's up there.
Just stupid questions in general piss you off.
That's fair. I don't want to say I have a short temper, but the fuse has gotten shorter in the service industry over the years.
And when I say stupid questions, I mean really stupid questions.
Yeah.
Like, what does
Like
the
what?
words mean when it's dessert?
Oh God! Oh, what's it? So, that's actually a really great one. Before this, I'll tell this story, and then we'll get back to the questions. And Hudan can very well attest to this. And yes, Sakura, do you sell coffee standing in a coffee shop? One of our things, and I kept a list of this. Hudan can attest to this. I kept a list of this, at the barbecue restaurant, of the stupid things people would ask if we had.
Or what they meant.
That I didn't keep a list of. I kept a list of I think I got rid of that little
list of the words.
That I kept a list of daily.
I know.
But do you have spaghetti on your menu? My dude, it's a barbecue joint. Yeah, we had somebody ask us for spaghetti twice.
What kind of bread is that?
Oh my god. I'll get to that. So, that one, that had my brain reset so hard. So, barbecue pasta? No.
I don't know how I feel about that.
That's questionable.
Oh no, what have I done?
So, no, we had people ask for mac and cheese. We had mac and cheese at the barbecue restaurant. We had it. I had people ask if we had hamburgers. I had people ask if we had fries, chicken tenders,
My God,
pizza.
Do you see a fryer?
Do you smell fryer oil? Like, so many stupid things people would ask us. And then my wife brought this up, and it's the funniest damn thing ever. So, here where we live, there's a festival that goes on every year that brings in about 10 to 20,000 people. And depending wherever you work in the city, it's either you're avoiding all of it or you're in pure hell. There is no in between. Oh, I've worked so many of that festival, it's not even fun. Like, I become almost desensitized to it. Either that or I have PTSD. So, we're prepping all of this meat for this festival. And this couple of, what was it? Kind of an older couple, I want to say.
An older couple.
Older couple walked by, looked into our window, saw us like prepping these pork butts. So that way we had pulled pork. Walked over to, and now my wife worked out in the building that was connected to us. Walked over to her and asked, "Hey, what kind of bread are they making in there?"
Bread?
They saw the pork butts rubbed in like with the seasoning and everything on these sheet trays. They thought it was bread.
Aww.
I did not know how to respond, in case you're wondering.
And she comes over to me and she goes, "I have something for you." And I went, "What?" She goes, "You're gonna think it's stupid." And I went, "Oh no." She went, "They want to know what kind of bread you have." You can't talk about what kind of bread. And she pointed to the pork butts. And then I stopped and went, "What?" As Hudan said, the smoked bread. People. That's
Texas bread.
Texas. Yeah, I wasn't present for that. I wish I was. I could go off on a whole bunch of tangents of things that happen in with these jobs, but we have questions. I'll gladly go over these. I'll gladly tell more stories toward the end of this. I will explain Texas bread later. I'll get to that. Don't worry. Believe me, Hudan I'm going to say it a lot, that Hudan can attest to a lot of this stuff, is that, yeah, it was dumb as hell. So we continue on with the questions for now.
Yes. So we already talked about your favorite jobs, right? But forgive me if I did ask you. I don't think I asked you what your least favorite job was. Did I?
No.
I don't think I did.
Well,
Okay.
you asked me about what my main jobs are, which again my main jobs are the same thing as my favorite jobs, that being gunbreaker and samurai, just because I love them. Least
Okay.
favorites, I wasn't. Now it's maybe because I haven't experimented with it fully. I've tried doing it so many times, I just couldn't. I couldn't get past a certain point and everything. Red mage is one of them,
Uh-huh.
just because I think I got stuck on a quest and even if I take it down to easy, I still fail every time. Maybe it's just because I'm not learning everything correctly, but what is this verse slander? Thanks, Fost. Hey, welcome. Uh, Another one. I only have it at, like this is hilarious because I have it at level 30. I've gotten the stone for it, and then I walked away from it and said, I'm out."
Oh,
That
talk
being
about timing. That's like one of Kyle's favorites.
red mage hurts my brain. Says hold on, yeah. Another one that I and s- I gotta give props. I gotta give credit where credit's due and props where they are. I'm proud of Sen for reaching that far with it because he's doing what I can't. Black mage.
Really?
A lot of the magic classes, I just can't. It's something about it. My brain is just like, which is hysterical because I have Scholar up to 70. Red mage over black mage. I think that's, I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, no, red mage and black mage, kind of are two of the ones that I can't really get behind. I'm trying to think of another one. Another one that I got it to 50, and then in my mind it's just getting a little too complicated. It's getting a little too cluttery and complicated to me as ninja.
There are a lot of buttons.
And it's a lot of like getting all the combinations for like the right ones you want to like use for the the mudra, is that what it's called, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to do all that. um but it's the lag. Don't forget lag. Yeah, it's just a lot of the magic classes I just can't find myself getting behind. Like, not that I couldn't, but I just can't get behind them at the moment. Now that might change in the future, but as of right now, I can't get I can't. A lot of the magic classes I can't figure out.
I will say Black Mage becomes at its best at level 90. Perhaps even at level 100 because you can move your ley lines. Just trying to win you guys over. Just saying.
I mean, Sen's already on the path, so I mean, I know he isn't here to say anything about it, but Sen is on that path. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll go back and give it a shot eventually, get it to 50, see how I feel about it. But I have another class that I'm working on that I'm trying to get up higher. So,
Hmm.
and that's our
I
lovable dancer class.
Fun class. I might be jumping the gun a little bit. What do you plan to start Dawn Trail with? Have you decided?
Had I, if I played a little bit more frequently than I have been in the past few weeks, my hope was maybe trying to. My original intention was going into it with monk, but
Okay.
I stepped away from monk, and then I was kind of like, I'll just go into it with samurai and gunbreaker and just kind of go from there. And I thought about it. I was like, I want something else to kind of experiment with and see if I have fun with it. And while I already had dancer up a few letter, put on floor main, embrace the spear. Honestly, I think it's probably not going to happen like immediately, and I probably won't end up getting it up there that high by the time Dawn Trail drops in a week. Dancer was kind of my next plan.
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm only level 67, 68 with that. And I need to get it, to 90.
No pressure.
So no pressure at all. So this is fun. This is just turning out to be so much fun.
I agree. I get to sit here and make fun of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about your jobs. What did you want to see? What were you hoping to see when they were announcing the jobs for John Trail?
Honestly, and I've played Final Fantasy games for a long time, and I've come to think of like, how would this look in 14? How would this look in 14? There's one that I wanted to kind of bring up, but I'm gonna wait. I'm leaving that for Hudan because he asked to bring it up. It was his idea to begin with, so I'm leaving that one for him. I can't honestly think of any that I would want to see. I mean, thinking about like just ones that we've seen already, and I know a lot of people like the general answer that a lot of people want to say is Geomancer. Because a lot of people are like, oh, Geomancer would be great, Geomancer would be perfect. I mean, sure. I mean, I wasn't expecting Viper. Viper is an interesting one that I might take a look into. What, Pictomancer, is that the name of it?
Yes.
Pictomancer looks interesting. I'm curious to see where that goes. I know we have the new limited job of Beastmaster coming as well.
Exciting. Uh-huh.
I'm curious to see how that's going to work. In all honesty, I want to see how Beastmaster is really going to kind of play in, especially being limited, much like Blue Mage is. I want to see how that has to play in.
Yes.
Because and I made the joke to Hudan at work the other day that like, oh, if Beastmaster is like you have to go and capture monsters, the first thing I'm doing is taking the class, going into Cutter's Cry, and I'm grabbing the Chimera and going, get in the box.
Get in the box.
Get in the box.
You're mine now.
This is my Chimera. No one else can have it. It's mine. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, I can't think of anything else I would want to see in the game, barring a few other things. But I mean, I'm sure that they'll come up with something. I mean, Viper is definitely a left field. Pictomancer's another one that is a callback to, I believe, Final Fantasy VI. But thinking back to like other like of my favorites for example, like Final Fantasy IV. I mean, we already have with Cecil. We've already got Dark Knight and Paladin, so I don't have to. That I'm already, I'm already there. I would be curious to see if they made another tank class. But where would you go in terms of tank? I mean, and we also did just recently get a new tank class with that being of Gunbreaker. I don't know. It's curious to see where... I think another one we could absolutely use would be another physical range DPS. I think that would be a very interesting thing, but I don't know what we would really go for in terms of that. Because I know we only have 3.
Right. Which is Dancer, Bard, Machinist, right?
Yes. And while we're talking about Machinist, that is... Because I know what the next part of the question is with a job rework. Machinist. In my opinion, Machinist, because later levels after, I want to say, a certain point, and Hudan and I were talking about this the other day, at a later point with Machinist, it starts to feel very clunky and heavy, and it just gets busy.
Having a shotgun is fun, though.
Well, hold up, you get a shotgun?
Yeah, isn't it level 90? Is it level 90? I can't remember.
Well, now I gotta start playing more Machinists. I get a shotgun? Hell yeah. Let's go.
It's pretty powerful.
Oh, the Machinist. Even I said that too, needs to be smoother. Shotgun diplomacy. Hell yeah. Sen, if Sen was still here, he could attest to why I love, in video games, I love having a shotgun. One of the earliest games that Sen and I played together was a game called Killing Floor. If anybody knows what that is, great. If not, easy to explain. It's a game. It's essentially Left 4 Dead, but British. And you're not fighting zombies; you're fighting genetic mutations. And my favorite class, my favorite class was my favorite class in that was the support class, because support class you could weld doors faster. You had a faster healing rate for yourself and your people, not as fast as medic, but it's a little bit faster. And your starting weapon was a shotgun. I was sold right there. You sold me a shotgun.
I'm pretty sure it's level 90. Maybe someone can correct me.
I might have to check that. Might have to go into the machinist tech tree and go, all right, where's the shotgun at? And if it's 90, well, I guess I know what I'm going to work on. You should absolutely, once we're done with these, you should absolutely see what I have set for my dancer outfit, because it is fabulous.
You'll have to show us. I mean, we're on the stage now, so you might just have to model it.
It's
after we finish.
As everyone sends, it's my hat. My hat makes the hat. It makes it the best.
Hat power is very important.
It's the only class I will let have a hat on it, because it's fabulous.
Okay, yeah, you'll have to show us after this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's the questions about the job, and I'd love to take time to ask you more about earlier when we started the stream, you had given everybody a trigger warning and said, hey, if you'll be talking about maybe some not so pleasant stuff, that they could step away, things like that. So we are at that spot now, so I'll kind of turn it to you to share if you want.
We are.
Go from there.
And
yeah.
Again, I reiterate that trigger warning if this touches on some very dark topics. And now, again, I have to kind of be careful with what I say because of Twitch's guidelines. That being said, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
It is very important because, admittedly, a lot of men's mental health is often overlooked. And the story I'm about to tell you is one that Sen knows, that Sakura knows, that my wife knows, and that Hudon knows. And again, I have to be very careful with what I say because it touches on, for a lack of better words and not trying to go into that, like saying the correct words, it talks about, the way I phrase it is the day that my story almost ended. And this was March of 2020, so very peak COVID. This is right about the time that COVID started. I had just left my job at the hotel the day before COVID started shutting places down. And the relationship I had at the time was kind of in and out. It worked and it didn't, and then toward the end of the month, I said, it's done, I can't do this, like, that's it. There were other reasons, too, that I won't go into specific detail on. But it was not a good relationship. Mm-hmm. And I was already... Yes, it was. I was already spiraling the drain a little bit with what am I going to do for my rent? What am I going to do for, like, how am I going to, have a source of income, this, that, and the other. And I couldn't, with COVID having shut everything down, I couldn't really do anything except for stay home. Which, now, don't get me wrong, I didn't mind. But I was already kind of spiraling that drain. And it started as the month of March went on. It started getting a little bit worse and worse. And I was very much spiraling that drain toward the end. And the very last day of March, I had opened up Facebook and was just kind of scrolling through to see if there was anything else, and I had seen that. Now this was 3 days after that my prior relationship that I was in had just it was completely done. It ended. That was that. 3 days later, I had seen that she was already with somebody new.
Wow.
Now, I wasn't mad at that thought, because that whatever it was, you know. But I was mad because I was right, and I knew that if anything had happened, if for some reason that her and I had split, I knew she was going to get with this guy because she had cheated on me with this guy beforehand. And to drive that part a little bit more too, is that 3 months into our relationship, I had fallen pretty sick. I was sick in her bed for 5 days straight. And she was polyamorous as well, to note that as well. But she was trying to be monogamous for my sake, because I wasn't about that. On the third day of me being sick and in her bed, she was going to go get her hair done, and then she was going to go hang out with a friend. On the 5th day, I finally was well enough to drive myself home, got home, and then she told me, she's like, I need to talk to you about something. I said, well, what is it? And she said, well, after my hair appointment, I was hanging out with my friend, I had slept with him. And I said, what? And she goes, yeah, I tried being monogamous, but I can't. It's just part of who I am. And I said, we're done. I'm not going through that. No, we're done. That's that. So fast forward to the end of March, and she was with him. She had gotten together with him. And I was mad because I was right. I knew it was going to happen. And I was like, it's whatever. But that little bit finally pushed me down that drain. And details that I can't explain. The night, I don't remember what happened that night. I remember going to my freezer. I remember I was like, I'm going to go grab a big tub of ice cream I have in there, because ice cream and depression, it just works. There was something else in that freezer of the, what's the word I want to use? The,
Alcoholic adults.
Of the alcoholic variety, and I went with that instead. And that's as bad as I'm going to have to say about that, because I can't say anything else about that part. The forbidden liquid, thank you. That's a great way to put it. The next morning I woke up, and of course, headache from hell, there was a lot. And I had sat up on my bed, and there was a cup of water next to my bed, drank it, and I looked over toward my closet, and my closet was tied shut with a hoodie. And my first instance was, I put one of my friends in there. Because, yes, I'll get to that. So the reason why I say I put one of my friends in there is because I had a couple of my close friends that lived nearby, and I thought I might have just went over to their place, dragged them out, and then threw them in my closet for some reason. Don't know why. That was the first thing my brain thought of. Oh, darn. I gotta reset the group photo real quick. Because okay, there we go. I accidentally hit my keyboard, and it messed with the chat. There we go. Let's just put that back there. Get out of here, mouse. Sorry about that. There was a note taped to my closet door, and it said, "Read me after you open the closet." So I untied it, opened the closet, half expecting one of my friends to be in there. And for a few people that know me, I like to collect. I like to collect blades myself. And they were all in my closet. I had some hanging on my wall and everything. They were all in my closet. And so I was like, why are all these in there? So I grabbed the note, I read it, and I can't obviously go into details on what it said, but it confirmed what my internal fear was saying, that my story was almost ended. And I kind of sat back on my bed for a moment, and just kind of, that reality hit, that almost happened. So I got up, went out into my living room, and I started cleaning everything up. And I thought about it for a second, and I realized that, like, and I looked at, like, the remains of what I had left for my beverage, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do that anymore. I called Sen and Sakura, and I said, before I explain anything, I need you two to be my witnesses. And they said, okay. So they witnessed as I grabbed every, like, type of that beverage that I had in my apartment, walked out to the dumpster, and threw it all in the trash. And to them, and I said to them that as my witnesses, I will not have another drink like that ever again. It has been 4 years, and I've not had a single one since.
Wow.
And it, had I not had, it's, to explain that is another can of worms as well, but it makes the most sense because it's how I made it, for lack of better words. For some that know, and still to this day, waves of fun, I've been, Hudon can attest, I've been through waves of hell after hell after hell, and I've stayed sober every single time. I've thought about it, don't get me wrong, but you have the days where you're just like, I need a drink, and my wife can attest, like, I've been at those points where I'm just like, I need a drink, and I'm just like, nope, don't need it, figure out something else. Yep. And now, I'm not saying that I had a problem with it beforehand. I never did.
Right.
I was an occasional person, I'd have one every once in a while, that's it. Or under certain occasion.
Yeah.
So I have to preface that before it's like, well, did you drink a lot? No. So for Dragon with the Ship, that's a different story. The Hibachi Dragon is a different story. I'll get to that later. I think I told that story already. So something that I live with, and some people know it. My wife knows it. Hudon knows about it. Sen and Sakura know about it. I live with dissociative identity disorder. For anybody that doesn't really understand what that is, for a lack of layman's terms, it's multiple personalities. Now, it's manifested a lot over years, and it's finally it's done manifesting and everything, and it's to say it's hit its peak is one way. I have 5 other personalities that I live with, and I'm in that weird. It's kind of like this weird. I want to say it's like a niche group, but it's kind of this weird thing where I have control over it, unless stress. There's ways where I lose that control, being that of like, if I feel like, so the best way to explain it is, imagine that you're standing there like you're sitting there in a car, and you're behind the wheel, right? Imagine you're watching yourself drive that car. That's what it feels like to me whenever I'm just like, I need to step away. One of you take the wheel real quick. I need to step away. That's exactly what that's like. And I can actively force one of them to kind of take the wheel if I need to step out. And I could go on about it for a long time. But it was because of them, that the other personalities, that I made it through that night. And I've since gotten so much better about it. I've there for a while. I was actually even going to therapy and everything, and I've since become a better person than I was then. And there's so much about it that I wish I could explain, but with guidelines and everything, I can't.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have that, then this wouldn't happen. This would not be happening at this moment. Like events of the future would have played out very differently.
Very different. Right.
As my wife comes and hugs up to me. But I can personally say, and I actually just recently helped somebody with this because they were kind of bridging those thoughts a little bit. Never, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It is never something that you should debate going down, because I've lost friends. I've lost people that are close to me. I have lost... When I worked... This was actually just in 2021. I had gotten a phone call while I was at my job. I worked at a truck stop there for a while. Which, funny enough, is actually where I met my wife. I got a phone call, didn't recognize the number that was coming through on my phone. And then the work phone went off, and it was one of my friends. And I said, "What's up?" And he said, "Well, it's my best friend, Kyle. Has Kyle gotten a hold of you yet?" I said, "No, why? My phone is blowing up. What is going on?" And he goes, "Just talk to Kyle." So Kyle calls me, and I'm like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Have you heard anything?" And I said, "No, what is going on?" So our small friend group that I have, or had, there's only 2 of us now that are still in the group. Well, it's technically 3, but one of them's kind of off doing his own thing. The mom to our friend group, who we loved her dearly, and still do to this day. He had told me that she was gone.
Oh, jeez.
And now I've dealt with that news many times, more times than I should openly care to admit.
Yeah.
But
So, I want to pause you there. I have an almost random question. When there are ads playing on your stream, can people still hear us?
I don't really know. According to Thunder Eater, no. Yeah, no, I don't really know how the whole ads thing kind of works with Twitch.
Yeah.
But I know that the VOD will be up on YouTube tomorrow night.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
so for those that didn't catch any of what was obviously said, or are missing the gaps and everything, this will be up on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Sakura, you're not getting ads because you have a subscription.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't sure if I should help with pausing. But I did want to take a moment and tell you that I'm so glad that you're here, number one. Number two, thank you for sharing your story, because I know while the people who are closer to you already know it, it does take a lot of courage to be able to share it um, in general, but to share it with, the FC, just to put it out there, to put it, um, on a stream, on a podcast is really huge, because we never know how our story can help somebody else out. And it really can make all the difference. So I just wanted to give you big kudos for that. I also, I don't know if you remember this, but you shared with me several years ago that you did have DID. And I actually spoke to one of your personalities a long time ago when you were going through a rough time. Do you remember that? You
No,
probably
I don't. It's
yeah.
if you
Yeah. And
I apologize if anything rude was said.
no, it not at all. Not at all.
Okay,
It
that's
was
good.
I think actually after that you were very apologetic, but you didn't have to be. And I think after that, like you and I bonded more because of it. Because I kept telling you like, no, you're fine, because I had already known about it. One of my I think I told you back then, but I did a big thesis about DID. So I was very familiar with it.
Huh.
And so when you shared it, I was like, yeah, don't worry, like you're good. So I knew it wasn't like you that I was used to talking to, and you had shared it with me, which I also really appreciate because you didn't have to share any of that. But I just wanted to, as you brought that up, it reminded me that this happened like many years ago. And I was like, I wonder if he remembers that. But
I
yeah.
don't.
But yeah, you were
Yeah,
like very
that's
yeah, very polite. I can't remember which one now, but I'm sure if you scroll back in your DMs,
that's
it's
gonna be
somewhere up
probably a
there.
long way.
It's a long, 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 long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah,
Long
yeah,
ago in a different age.
yeah. Yeah, but it says so much of, like you said, the work you've done on yourself, the support system you've surrounded yourself with. It doesn't happen by luck alone. It's
No.
really about you taking care of yourself, the decisions that you've made. And then, like you said, today, tonight, where you're at, this wouldn't have happened. Things would have been very different. You know what I mean? Had you not made the decisions that you chose to do and
Yeah.
to take care of yourself
And
beforehand. So,
something else I'm going to throw in with this as well is I've mentioned this to people before too. Again, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It's never the path that you should take. And as I've said, I've lost many people to it. And to anybody watching, anybody that will watch this, it doesn't matter. Like even if this doesn't get seen to anybody, we may not know each other on a personal level. We may not know each other at all. You may just be somebody that just comes up to me. I care not. If you're going through that, reach out to somebody. There are many resources and everything that you can to get the help that you need. Because there are still a few people, there are still a few of the friends that I've lost that I wish I could go back and talk to them and tell them the same thing over and over and over again, and I can't. One of the people being not only just like the mom to a friend group, and that's when I absolutely cannot go into any detail about with this story, because that one would absolutely get me banned. I lost an extremely like this. To put it this way, this happened when I was 16 years old. I am almost 29 now. One of my closest friends at the time went through with that route, for lack of better words. And it's what I attribute to being the start of like my path with DID, because a lot of times and as you know, Prim, like a lot of different things can cause it, traumatic experiences being kind of one of them. It's I'm trying to think like the way to phrase it and this is the one thing I won't answer any questions on, because one, I can't because of Twitch, and two, there are other reasons why I can't. I was there when it happened.
oh
And that's for 10 years, actually, that stuck with me. Like, there were times where I'd wake up in the middle of the night screaming because that moment would play over and over and over and over. Like, I could also attribute that to, like, some times of insomnia as well. But insomnia has also been something that likes to kick me in the ass. But it wasn't until somebody had said something to me that really drove the point home. Was like, because I grieved for 10 years. I never stopped grieving. And now I'm not saying don't stop grieving about the people that you've lost. But I grieved for a long time over his loss and of feeling powerless to do anything to stop it from happening. Until somebody said to me, I just don't want to say it was probably my therapist, but then I don't think it might have been her, but they said, if he was still here today, how would he react if you were still mourning and still grieving over something like that happened? And the best way I could phrase it was, he would have kicked my ass. Hands down, hand to God, he would have kicked my ass for doing that. And they said, they said something that has ultimately changed, like, a perspective of how I see things, is don't mourn their loss. Mourn their loss, yes, but celebrate the life that they had. Celebrate the memories that you shared with them.
I love that.
And it has stuck for years. Like, and I'll never forget him. I'll never forget the other people that I've lost because of it. And again, there are many resources and everything. And back to what I was saying, like, even if we haven't met, even if I am always around. Like, maybe not when, at very early times in the morning where I'm asleep. But I'm always around. If you ever feel like that is a path that you're considering taking, reach out to me. I will gladly sit there and talk with you. Because I've lost too many people. I'd rather not lose any more. I know I'm powerless to control that. But please, reach out to somebody. If you reach out to me, you can reach out to anybody in the FC, I'm sure.
Yeah. I also want to plug in an easy resource, one that we can remember. If you're having a mental health emergency, you can call or text 988 24/7, and there are trained therapists and counselors standing by to talk to you.
And I know that I especially know that this discussion and everything kind of plays along with something that you do as well, Prim. Because yes. I just seen the other, like, a week ago, that you were in DC.
I was. Yeah, I was traveling and telling legislators to give people more money to make things like 988 more viable, so that people can have somebody to talk to any time of the day. Because people don't really know that it's a resource that's available, and there are some fantastic counselors that are there. So it's just really trying to get the word out. So.
And I appreciate that beyond anything, and that's especially now that you know that the stories that I've told with my own experience with it, that it drives a really big point home, that means more than anything I could ever say.
Well, it goes both ways, right? It takes a village. Like, we all have a role to play. Like, we don't have to hide away from how we feel. Like, everybody goes through tough times, and it's good to lean on each other. And maybe something that I can support with is helpful, but maybe something you do can be helpful. It just really depends on what that person sees or hears or who they come into contact with. So the
Yeah.
more we talk about it, the more that, people know that there's help out there. And that's the big goal.
Exactly.
So I do want to take just the last few minutes because I know we're running a little bit short on time.
That we are.
And I wanted to have just a little closing segment for you, some closing remarks, your hopes for Dawn Trail and kind of wrapping up this season of excellent podcasts and just all of that.
Yeah, I mean, this was to be the one asking the questions, and as now you can attest, like asking the questions is one thing. It's the reason I do it is to hear the stories from everybody else. It's the big deal, you know. It's and it, again, like the reason why we do this is so that way everybody in the FC can learn about one another. Like, because we all have so many interesting stories to tell, and I wish we could go on and tell more and more of these stories, but there's only so much time in the world, and also time zones. Honestly, my hopes for Dawn Trail, honestly, a chance to finally have a vacation after everything we've been through. And I don't want to say anything because there's a couple people that haven't finished the story
Yes.
in the chat. But there's a vacation. A nice, like, light-hearted adventure, honestly. That's what I kind of hope for. I know it probably won't be that, but... another thing, and you brought it up with the seasons, so that's something that was decided with Prim, and this is the end of season 1 for the podcasts. With Dawn Trail coming out with early access starting next week, and Dawn Trail coming out like within a few days after, everybody's going to be kind of rushing through Dawn Trail, wanting to explore everything that goes on with it. The podcast isn't going to happen probably for another probably until August, September, sometime around there. But I felt it fitting that the podcast, this entire series, the first season started with Raynell, with her being one of the founders of Kind. The first season ends with the one who started the podcasts. The second season begins with the one who brought us all together, and leads me to my nomination, our current host.
Yay! Yay!
It is you. Now, now, to preface this as well, is that I know I told Sen that, you wanted to stay off the table for a little bit. It was not my intention to, obviously, and as I had messaged you, you wanted me to have Zebo be the one to do this.
Very
you wanted
much,
Zebo to be
yes.
the next one. And had it worked that way and he would have said yes, there's a very likely chance that it would have been him. Because I know you still wanted to kind of take the back seat and be like, okay, I want to help do this, this, and this. I totally get that, and I can't thank you enough for it. But the way I also see it now is, I know who I think you should ask, but I know he's not going to do it. And I absolutely think you should ask more.
I know.
But
I will
he's not
do
the
my
interview
best.
type.
I know. I will still ask because I think he's such an excellent person to get to know. But I think we will try.
We'll try. But you've got a couple months to find out whoever it is that you want to be your nomination. But we got a couple months for that. That's fine.
Yeah, we have time. We do.
So, I will take the reins back over if you don't mind.
Please do. All yours.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to this, albeit melancholic, but very fun podcast. Again, this is the end of season 1. The VOD for this will be up on YouTube. The playlist will be put in the FC chat. This will be added to the playlist tomorrow night because I have to wait a full 24 hours to upload, to do an export of stuff. It's part of the affiliate rules. This has just been incredible. I cannot thank Prim enough for taking the time to host this, to be the one to question me. And
It was fun.
And as I had told Prim before we had started, like, I felt it fitting to have, like, and I could have had Sen do it. I could have had Sakura do it. I could have had Hudan do it, but I know that Hudan is, he's still kind of new to the game. I say kind of new. He's already in Shadowbringer. But it felt more fitting to me to have Prim do it because I've been working with her so close with this project, and it felt in a weird way. It felt fitting to have the creator of the podcast being questioned by the creator of the FC, and then it's just gonna flip right around once we start up season 2. But that's for another few months. So, again, thank you everybody for coming to the podcast. We will. You can tune in on Twitch tomorrow for another episode of Kai Kai Plays Dreamlight Valley. She's been having a lot of fun with it. Beyond that, we will be back after tomorrow. We'll be back Tuesday with more Mass Effect 2 with Drew leading the helm on that one because sometimes I need a break. And again, Prim, thank you so much for hosting this. This has been great. Oh, I have to show off I can't end this out yet. I have to show the
outfit.
dancer.
Yeah, show us the outfit.
I just remembered that. All right. Bam.
That is a hat.
It's Amon's hat from the Crystal
Thunder still
Tower.
watching?
I think he is. Look at that hat. The hat. Look at the feather.
That is big hat.
Babe.
Does this work? Wait,
Oh, okay.
did that light shine on? Yeah, there.
The hat
It did.
is just. It did, yeah. Bam. It's kind of at my hip, but that's okay. The feather moves every time I move my head. Of course. Hudan, you scare me sometimes with your dancing over there. This has definitely been fun. I absolutely love this hat. It's great. So, I know you've got Thunder's trivia thing to go to. I wish I could join, but I've got other things I need to take care of, so I'm going to end this here and now. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We will see you tomorrow. Goodbye!
Good night.